Hey, Shalom, first and foremost, and give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Hakadash, the honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, say, takes the Akim to the elect that are scattered across the four corners of this earth, pushing this truth out in faith and without sincerity. I'm the Bro Shema from the GMS Houston camp. This lesson is going to be entitled, Through Envy of the Devil Came Death into the World. All right, because if you go back to the beginning, you see, Cain was the first murderer. He was the one, right, that actually, brought that type of vibration, right, into the earth. You see, but it says, nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world, which really goes back to Genesis 3, the serpent coming to Eve, filling up her head with the lies, and Adam and Eve taking hold onto that fruit, which are the philosophies of those different nations, right? Which is wickedness. Hey, that's when men really begin to die. But as far as the murder aspect of it, it came through a king. That's because it was the same spirit, right? But actually putting murder, right? Jealousy, you see, all of those things, right? Even robbery, all these things, it came from this man. That's the spirit of Cain, right? The spirit of Cain. All right, so this is Wisdom Solomon 2:24 says, nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world, and they that do hold of his side do find it. So through envy of the devil came death into the world. You see, when you go to Genesis, the fourth chapter, dealing with Cain and Abel, right? Which Cain was that wicked one. He had that wicked seed. But Abel was righteous, right, in the eyes of the Lord. Right? And they were set up to be this way. It says, and Adam knew his wife Eve, she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from Yahweh. Right? Which Cain means Kwayan, which was like a dagger, right? Or a stabbing instrument, some type of weapon. Right? His name basically means weapon. And Abel, right, Habal, which is transitory, meaning he was here. But he was here for a short amount of time. He was here, then he was gone. All right, it says and she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought the fruit of the ground and offering to Yahweh. And Abel, he also brought the firstlings of his flock and the fat thereof. And Yahweh had respect unto Abel to his offering, but to Cain to his offering he had not respect, right? Because he, Abel knew exactly what to do. You bring a firstling, right, of the flock, right, the best, right, with the fats, because it says the fats belong to the Most High, right? Yes, this is the type of the Lord required an animal sacrifice, right? A particular animal sacrifice, all right? But Cain didn't listen. He did it another way, right? He did it a way that he thought that was right, instead of being obedient to the Heavenly Father, right? Here it is, Abel brought the firstling of his flock, right, which is a lamb, right, without blemish, right? Could have been a goat, right? But you got Cain, he decided to bring, this is just an example. You got Cain decided to bring some some apple and grapes and shit. Right? The Lord wasn't dealing with that. You see, the Lord's very specific when he wants on what he wants. It says, and Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. All right, so he was mad. And it's like, what you mad for? Right? You was disobedient. You didn't listen. And Yahweh said to Cain, why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shall not thou be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lies at the door. And after thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Right? If you did the right thing, you would have been accepted, but you didn't. It says that Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. All right, so he murdered his brother. In the law, when it says thou shalt not kill, the word is ratazak, which is murder. That means to basically you taking a life without a cause. You're not justified. Right? The death of this man was not justified. Right? And this is what Cain did. He murdered him. Right? Because of what? Because of his brother's righteousness. Right? Because of his brother's work. Because of he was jealous. Because he envied. Right? And this is when, you know, this is when murder came into the world. That vibration, that wicked vibration through this man right here, Cain. Right? This is the first written account, right, of a man actually murdering someone through Cain. Right? Murdering his brother. Right? It says, and Yahweh said to Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood cried unto me from the ground. So he said, am I my brother's keeper? Meaning he didn't give a shit about him. All right. Like, am I supposed to be like, well, I'm supposed to be around him all the time? I'm supposed to be protecting him? I'm supposed to be watching over him? Yeah, you are for your brother. It says, and he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood cried unto me from the ground, meaning that Abel was in the spiritual realm. Because when you read Revelation 6 chapter clearly explains that when men die, or when an Israelite dies, period, they are crying to the Heavenly Father, right, to avenge them. You see, this is what Abel was doing. This is how the Lord knew what Cain did to him. It says, now art thou cursed on the earth, which hath opened thy mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. Right, so to envy of the devil came death into the world. 1 John 3:10, it says, and this the children of the Most High manifest in the children of the devil. Whosoever doeth not righteousness is not of the Most High, neither he that loveth not his brother. For this is the message that you heard from the beginning, that we should love one another, not as Cain, who was of that wicked one. Right, Cain. He was that's the same spirit that's in the serpent, right? That's the same spirit that's in Esau Edom, so-called white man, right? The devil, the devil's physical counterpart, Satan's physical counterpart, right? It's not as Cain, who was of that wicked one and slew his brother. And wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil and his brother's righteous. All right, so this is that spirit of Cain, of hating your brother. Because the scripture say if you hate your brother, you are a murderer. Because all that shit goes back. That's the spirit of Cain. And now people have taken hold of the ways of Cain, the ways of Esau. All right. Jude 1:11. Woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain, and ran greedily after the error of Balaam for reward, which is an idol. It's basically Satan, and perish in the gainsaying of Korah. So he said, woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain. Right? Our people have gone in the way of Cain, right? Let's see. John 8:44. Ye of your father the devil, which this is talking about the Edomites, those Romans during the time. Jacob was acting just like them, man. When we come from the righteous seed line, the chosen seed, right? That the Lord gave laws, statutes, and commandments to abide by, right? Which consists of loving one another, loving your brother. Right? Like I said earlier, don't murder. Right? Scripture talk about not to covet. Right? And Cain, he basically was jealous of his brother from getting the praise of the Heavenly Father, right? For doing righteousness. Right? But it says, ye of your father the devil. Hey, and you think about it during this time, hey, our people was persecuting Yahweh Shah for what? Righteousness. He didn't do anything. But they wanted to kill him. Right? They have gone in the way of Cain, even with the prophets. People always wanted to kill the prophets. What the prophets was teaching, what the prophets going off, the prophets was teaching the word of the Lord. They was bringing out the word of the Lord, going into these prophecies, right? What the Lord was going to bring to pass, right? If they didn't get their act together and what they wanted to do, they wanted to kill the prophets. And Yahweh Shai, he said, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets, and stonest them that are sent unto thee." That's that spirit of Cain. It says, "In the lust of your father he will do." He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh the lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of a righteous man. The scripture speak about Revelation 20, he shall go to see the earth. This man got lies. That's all he do is lie. All he do is lie, murder, right? Steal, right? It's John 10:10. The thief coming not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. Right? The thief, Esau is a fucking thief. Right? This man got his wickedness pushed, right, throughout the whole four corners of the earth because he is in control. Job 9:24. Right? It says, "In the nations are drunk of a wine," you see, taking on to this man's ways, leaving their own ways, taking on to this man's ways, but mainly our people doing that shit, man. Proverbs 3:31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. So we ain't supposed to want to be like this, man. Right? We ain't supposed to be behaving like this, man. Killing one another, hating one another, stealing from one another, lying to one another, right? Being jealous. That's all the spirit of Cain, right? To the spirit, we like Abel, right? Being obedient to the Heavenly Father, right? So you can receive it. Hey, that's Jacob and Esau all over again. We come out of Jacob, right? But you're not supposed to choose none of the oppressor's ways. But who are the oppressors? Esau, Edom, right? Which are the so-called Caucasians today, right? But this is Second Esdras 15:7. Therefore said the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more touching the wickedness. So all of this shit's gonna come to an end. The Lord is gonna basically reset the earth. So he says that a new heaven and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. All right. That's what's gonna come to pass. So wickedness will be put out of the earth. Right? Wickedness does not endure forever. If history will teach you anything, right? So you go through these scriptures, the scripture will show you that wickedness always get put out and it does not last. It says, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. So the Lord is going to act. And he's acting right now through his prophets by speaking these things before they come to pass, and then he will bring them to pass. Behold, the innocent and the righteous blood cried unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. Right, all the wickedness that's in the earth, all of the men, right, that have died in his faith, right, and that will die in the faith. You see, the Lord would avenge their blood, even the Israelites, because the Israelites are the righteous, You see, even the 2/3 are gonna be slaughtered by this. That the Most High is gonna kill. He's still gonna pay Esau back for what he did unto them. Even though the Lord used Esau, Edom to be that sword against our people, you still touch, right, the holy people. You see, so the Lord, he he's gonna set everything back in his right order. So Isaiah 60 speak about all our people being righteous. Isaiah the second chapter speak about the law going forth, right? And everyone, following these laws. It says, and therefore, I said to the Lord, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them, right? All the innocent blood. See, this man got a lot of blood on his hand, going all the way back to Abel. You got a lot of blood on your hands, which, you're going to have to pay for, right? So ending and back off what I started with, Wisdom of Solomon 2:24, it says, nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death. Well, I started 23. It says, for the Most High created man to be immortal and made him to be an image of his own eternity, right? We were supposed to live forever, right? It says, nevertheless, to envy of the devil came death into the world. Like I said, you had that serpent, which is the same spirit as in Cain, which is the same spirit as in Esau, right? Fill Eve head up with lies. And she went back to Adam with it, and they start to go off, which through sin, when you sin, that's how death comes in, right? Transgression of the law, right, brings the sin, and sin brings death, right? But however, in this sense, nevertheless, through envy of the devil, which the devil, Satan, his physical counterpart, Esau Edom, came death into the world, the first murderer. All right. Says, and they that do hold his side do find it. So you're gonna find death. Right? If you take unto this man ways, you're in the way of Cain. Death is coming for you, right? By way of the Heavenly Father, which will be a righteous death. All right. So that was the lesson. With that, I'm gonna say shalom.